Breaking news tonight, a sudden military confrontation involving the United States, Israel, and Iran is sending shockwaves across the global economy. Markets are reacting instantly, oil prices are surging, and businesses worldwide are bracing for potential disruption. This conflict, unfolding in one of the world's most strategically important regions, is not just a military story. It's rapidly becoming an economic crisis that could affect energy supplies, global trade routes, and financial stability. Governments, investors, and multinational corporations are now closely watching every development. The question many are asking tonight is simple: how far could this conflict go, and what will it mean for the global economy? In the past 24 hours, tensions between the United States, Israel, and Iran have escalated dramatically following a series of military strikes targeting key strategic sites. Reports indicate that Israeli forces, purportedly supported by U.S. intelligence and logistical coordination, carried out precision attacks against facilities believed to be linked to Iran's military infrastructure. Iran has strongly condemned the strikes and warned that retaliation could follow. Iranian officials described the attacks as an act of aggression that threatens regional stability. Military units across the region have reportedly been placed on heightened alert. The situation has immediately triggered concern across global markets. Oil prices surged as traders reacted to fears that supply routes in the Middle East could be disrupted. The Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical oil shipping corridors, has become a major focus of international concern. Meanwhile, governments around the world are monitoring the situation closely. Diplomatic channels are working urgently behind the scenes to prevent further escalation. Although the scale of the conflict remains uncertain, the ripple effects are already being felt far beyond the battlefield. As details continue to emerge, analysts say the conflict carries major implications not only for regional security, but also for global commerce. The Middle East remains one of the world's most critical hubs for energy production and shipping routes. Nearly a third of the world's seaborne oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz. Any disruption in this narrow waterway could have immediate consequences for energy prices worldwide. Already, shipping companies are reviewing security protocols and insurance costs for vessels operating in the region. Air travel routes are also being affected. Several international airlines have begun rerouting flights to avoid potential conflict zones, which could increase travel time and fuel costs. Multinational corporations with operations in the Middle East are also assessing risks to their employees and infrastructure. Some companies are reportedly activating contingency plans to protect supply chains. Financial markets remain highly sensitive to developments on the ground. Investors fear that prolonged instability could trigger wider economic uncertainty, particularly if oil prices continue to climb. For now, the situation remains fluid, with new developments expected in the coming hours and days. Experts say the roots of this crisis lie in years of rising tensions between Iran, Israel, and the United States. At the center of the dispute is Iran's controversial nuclear program, which Western governments in Israel believe could eventually lead to the development of nuclear weapons. Iran, however, insists that its nuclear activities are intended for peaceful purposes, such as energy production and scientific research. Despite diplomatic negotiations in recent years, mistrust between the sides has continued to grow. Israel has repeatedly stated that it will not allow Iran to obtain nuclear weapons capability. Israeli officials view such a development as an existential threat to their country's security. Meanwhile, the United States has maintained a strong military presence in the region and has supported Israel's security concerns. Washington has also imposed economic sanctions on Iran in an attempt to pressure Tehran into limiting its nuclear activities. These long-standing tensions have created a fragile environment in which even a single military incident can quickly escalate into a broader confrontation. International reaction to the unfolding crisis has been swift. Several world leaders have called for restraint and urged all sides to avoid actions that could escalate the conflict further. The United Nations has scheduled emergency consultations as diplomats attempt to find a path toward de-escalation. Officials warned that a wider regional war could have devastating consequences not only for the Middle East, but for the entire global economy. Financial institutions are also closely monitoring the situation. Some analysts warn that prolonged instability in the region could trigger inflationary pressures due to rising energy prices. Major corporations are beginning to evaluate potential disruptions to global supply chains. Industries ranging from aviation to manufacturing could feel the impact if shipping routes or energy supplies are affected. Meanwhile, citizens in several countries across the region have expressed concern about the possibility of a broader conflict. For now, governments are urging calm, while diplomatic efforts continue behind closed doors. Looking ahead, analysts say several possible scenarios could unfold depending on how each side responds in the coming days. One possibility is limited retaliation followed by diplomatic negotiations aimed at preventing a wider war. In this scenario, global markets could stabilize once tensions begin to ease. However, there is also concern that miscalculations or additional strikes could push the region into a larger military confrontation. Production facilities or shipping lanes, prices could surge dramatically. For businesses worldwide, the coming weeks will be crucial. Companies are already preparing for potential volatility in markets, logistics, and energy supplies. Ultimately, the direction depends on political decisions being made right now in capitals across the world. As the situation continues to evolve, the world is watching closely.